Good evening and warm welcome to all the participants. We are here for the session number 214 and we have Dr. Bhooma Veeravalli with us. Good evening, ma'am, and welcome to this conversation.
Namaste, welcome.
I'll do a brief introduction and request you to start the session, ma'am. Allow me to share my screen. These are WiseViews leadership conversations, which we hold every Friday. The session number 214 is today with a very interesting topic. The topic is Awakening the Giant, Leading Transformation in Large Public Organizations and Lessons for the Corporate Sector. And this will be led by Dr. Bhooma Veeravalli, who has already joined us. Dr. Bhooma has joined the Indian Railway Personnel Service after clearing the Civil Services Examination in 1987. Apart from railways, she has worked in several organizations like ISRO, IIT Madras, Central Institute of Classical Tamil, etc., handling a variety of senior administrative roles. She left her mark in each of the organizations, bringing in innovations and system improvements, like being the first to implement e-office in Indian Railways, elimination of unmanned level crossings, electrification at a record pace, evolving a promotion policy for IIT non-teaching employees, etc. Even during her training in the Department of Customs and Central Excise, she was part of the team that detected smuggling of 278 kgs of gold off the western coast of India. This is very interesting. She has been awarded British Chevening Scholarship for Women in Leadership and Management in the year 2003, Outstanding Woman Manager by MMA in 2006, Director General's Medal for Best Performance in Advanced Management Program in 2008, Fulbright Nehru Award for International Education Administrators in 2015, and many more. She's a multifaceted person who pursues a variety of interests and hobbies, including writing and translation of poetry from Tamil to English, writing travelogues, reviews and articles, trekking, conducting quiz shows, farming, playing veena, and listening to classical music. That is actually many, many things. Her book, Firelets, Glimpses of Bharati's Poetry, a curated translation of select poems of Subramanya Bharati in English, has been recently published. Subsequently, her translation of verses of Bharati have been included in a coffee table book by International Institute of Tamil Studies. Her third book, Mani Manyai, a translation of Manipuri short stories into Tamil, published by the Sahitya Academy, has also been critically acclaimed. She graduated in social sciences from Lady Doe College, Madurai, and did her post-graduation in industrial psychology, organizational behavior from University of Madras, and holds a graduate degree in law, apart from her PhD from IIT Madras. Wow, what a profile. Welcome, ma'am. Thank you so much for joining us. And
thank you.
And I'll also take a moment to introduce my esteemed colleague, Dr. Prasad. He brings 3 decades of rich experience to the table. He was an entrepreneur, a corporate professional, and now an academic at ICFAI. He is the senior director in academic wing in the group. He holds BTech from IIT Bombay and PGDM from IIM Kolkata. Hearty welcome to you, Dr. Prasad. I will now stop sharing the screen. And over to you, ma'am. We are eagerly waiting to listen to you, understand what it actually means leading several transformational activities across the scale of the organizations that you worked in, that is the large public sector organizations, and what kind of lessons we can learn from you and your journey in this conversation of 1 hour. Over to you, and we start with you. Once again, thank you and welcome to this conversation.
Thank you. Dr. Rao, Dr. Prasad, and other guests, it's an honor and a joy to reconnect with ICFAI. My previous experience with ICFAI have been amazing. So I would like to come as often as possible and be with you. I've just started. Thanks for challenging me with this topic. It's slightly outside my comfort zone. So that's a nice challenge to take up. And your timelines are a wonderful challenge, which I really love. Less you one-directional communication and more bi-directional communication. Great. And I also want to tell you that even this one directional, I hope, will not be more unidirectional. It will also be bi-directional. Okay. With that and not much more ado, let me get down to the topic. Awakening the Giant, Transformation in Large Government Organizations and Lessons for the Corporate Sector. Yeah, this topic, I'll be doing it in 3 parts. And the first part will be on what do you mean by awakening the giant? And the second part is transformation in large government organizations. And the third, what are the lessons we both learn? It's kind of no lesson is one direction. All lessons are always multi-directional. So that will be the challenge. So let's just go to the next topic. Can the participants tell me what connects all these pictures? Can you tell me what connects this? I'm not seeing any chat responses. Okay. So all these, yes, chat responses. Okay. Digital
Digitization.
infrastructure, digitization, right? There's something beyond that. Is that all of them are talking about government projects, either India or abroad. So I just wanted to bring it there. So why am I talking about government projects? Okay, I've come from government, but to a bunch of corporate people, why am I talking about government project? Before I go to that, I would like to say that these are all government projects and these are all huge government projects. That is what is next. Look at it. What are we talking about here? What is in store in these projects? The expenditure that government has earmarked for this year on infra is 11.2 lakh crores. We are talking about $130 billion here. That's not a small amount. And the sector-wise breakup is there. And what does it mean for the corporate world? We are talking about our big bank people. This is just the IT portion of it. And you can imagine the hard infrastructure, the road and the rail and the power and the bridges and all the other sectors. The IT portion of it alone, Infosys alone is talking about 10,000 crore plus from just two departments of government in this out of this inflow in 1 year. TCS is targeting about 2 billion US dollars in terms of government projects alone. So government projects are today, according to me, that's the reason why I'm calling it awakening the giant. All these projects are huge and they are just coming up. So these projects are giving us a big scope for what we have to do. So to me, it defines that government is today the go-to for industry. And it is not just IT industry I'm talking about. It is hardcore industry for every sector. Just to give you a glimpse, railways is ordering something like 150 locos every year for the next 10 years. We are talking about 5,000 coaches every year, and most of these are going to be going to the private sector or PPP because the infra that we have cannot manage this kind of load we are talking about. Okay, so there is a huge thing. So automatically it comes to the next question: what is in it for me? WIIFM, the typical question that we look at it. This much of business potential, we are talking about 130 billion business potential in India in 1 year. If that does not tell you what is in it for me, nothing much will. But to me, I'm looking at beyond this. Apart from this money, we are talking about making India a developed country, giving a beacon of growth and stability in a world of instability that is going on around us, and looking at whole business opportunity all over again. And it is as much as what we have been doing over 10 to 20 years. And it gives you an opportunity of making a new India and making an India of our choice. So this is what we are looking at. Okay. I just want to, so that is my first portion. Yes, I hope you all agree that there is a giant there who is waiting to be awakened. And the advantage in this giant is that we are starting at point one. We are starting at, we are now at 0. And when others have reached 0.5, they had to change between. Now, when we are going and starting afresh, we are going into the latest technology right in the beginning. So that means you have a long haul business deals that are working on. So that is the business opportunity that is lying there. And that is a nation building opportunity that is waiting for us. So that is what we need to work on. Just to give a small example of one project in one organization and see what was our experience and what we learned from that experience, both you and I, how much we learned from it. So I'll quickly run through this experience for about 5 minutes or 8 minutes, and then we will talk about the learning that comes out of it. Then we will have a chat. Is that okay? Does it work for you? Giant waiting to awaken, or probably has already awakened, and we have to take advantage of him. Yes, you agree. Yes, many of you have agreed. Now, I just want to describe this background. You realize that this particular project I'm talking about is one project, and I'll just give you the background. Just forget what you have come across in your life and imagine an organization which is 175 years old, a well said, old, traditional, conventional organization. It's divided into 16 zones, 8 production units, 273 primary administrative units. Beginner for you, okay? And we are talking about an organization which is running 140,000 track kilometers and 88,000 route kilometers, 7,000 stations, second largest in the world in terms of number of passengers you carry, second largest in the world in terms of net tonnage of goods you carry, fourth largest in the world in terms of length, and the third largest in terms of growth. We are talking about Indian Railways, right? This organization, 16 zones, 8 production units, 273 administrative units, 7,000 unique locations across the country. You have a station in Udagamandalam, Ooty, or something in Darjeeling Hill Railway, and you have something like Churchgate in Mumbai. So a variety of stations. 14.4 lakh employee positions. World will show you this is the 7th largest employer in the world, but the biggest government civil employer in India. Even defense does not come near it. 12.5 lakh active employees, 15.2 lakh pensioners, 800 verticals among these employees, 3,100 designations across the country, 4,600 promotional units. And we are looking at 26,000 groups of people, categories and levels and positions of people. 1.2 lakh persons are promoted every year on an average. 1 lakh reservation roster. You know, government means community reservation is there. 1 lakh reservation rosters maintained. 50,000 people on an average are recruited every year. And 12 lakh leave applications are filed every year. 10 lakh. Please wrap your head around it. This is the organization we are talking about. And all this was happening manually till about 3 years back. And this was handled only by 300, 400 officers and about 10,000 staff. And when I say 10,000, it looks big. But imagine you have 7,000 unique locations. 10,000 is no big deal when you're talking about that, right? So this is what we are talking about. Please wrap your head around it. In this organization, we want to now digitize the entire operation across the country with zero error tolerance. And the best part of it is, okay, just 1 minute. So we are looking at, okay, so that my animation is going haywire. We are looking at 3 different groups of work. And if you all know a bit of railway, see, we are looking at 1.4 lakh, for 1.4 million employees in a population of 1.4 billion. We are looking at, 1.4 million employees. And you are looking at each of them having 4 people in their family. Imagine we are talking about 1 in 1,000 person has some railway connection. How many of you have railway connection? Just for a clue. Yeah, it's a giant. So you agree that we are opening a giant. The giant is woken up. So how many of you will have railway connection? I'm sure all of you think some uncle, some auntie will be there in railways. So all of you will have some railway connection. So look at it. And railway is an organization which runs hospitals, which runs guest houses, which runs children creches, which runs schools, which runs colleges, which runs medical hospitals, medical colleges. We also run trains. Okay. So from the birth of a child to your cremation, we take care of everything. That we give funeral advance if there is a death in the family. So we take care of everything. And so we have, can you imagine what kind of a HR responsibility we are talking about? So we are talking about taking care of 14 lakh employees into 4 at least, and 15 lakh retirees into 2 at least. So this is the kind of numbers we are talking about. And we are talking about employee, we are talking about the cadre and the organization vertical maintenance, and we are talking about the housekeeping of HR. This is a complexity. And 16 zones, each of them had their own prospects. And a person wants to get from Chennai to, let's say, Bihar. He has to have his documents transferred. Can you imagine the kind of complexities we are talking about? And our rules make it even more complex. I'll just give you an example. If you undergo family planning operation, the house building loan will have 0.5% reduction. Can you imagine the connection between the two? We have to work with such complexities. We did. So just to put it simply, every HR officer is responsible for multiple roles, hundreds of cadres, thousands of employees, and millions of official records. And we had to drive the largest HR digital transformation on the go. We cannot stop. Work cannot stop. Employee cannot be disturbed because your trains cannot stop, because that many numbers that you're seeing on the screen is waiting for us every hour, every day. So we cannot, it has to be on the go. So you can imagine the challenge. And we have multiple stakeholders, the railway board, employees, the HR officials, the departmental executives, and our designing team, the Center for Railway Information Systems. But the biggest stakeholder we are talking about is our unions and associations. And you will know, if ever any of you have gone to any railway station, confusions on the process, we had make or buy dilemma. And then we decided we'll go through CRIS. And the business model was designed, delivered. We pulled talent from department, from outside, put it under CRIS, and started working. And we found that it was very slow. It was not picking up because we realized that we were treating Chris as a vendor to us. Then we found that that doesn't work. So we had our conflict there. We moved into partnership mode. We joined, we decided, you and I, it's not a tutu meme, it is we. And what did we come? Already 14 out of 18 modules are up and running with zero error migration. Just imagine one fine morning, we just gave 5 days to convert all the leave applications for all people over from manual to digital. And we have had zero application, zero failure. We had zero migration when we migrated all my transfer modules. And just to give you what kind of a program we've managed, 91 lakh travel authorities are being issued every year, both official and personal privilege. 12.11 lakh employees are using it actually real time every day. 1.4 lakh employees have been onboarded in a year. 12,000 crores have been settled in pension and settlement in 1 year. Does it sound simple to you? If I add my provident fund, it will be another 6,000 crores. This is what we have been handling. And the best part is, yes, it has been uniform. It's not that we've not had any challenges. I told you we have served through tough this thing. We had challenges. We had first data purity, which was our biggest problem. All data is in paper, and all paper is likely to get spoiled. Imagine each person's service record is minimum 20 pages. And we are collecting this record, and a person serves railways for 25 years. 20 pages into 12.5 lakh employees. Look at the number. I don't want to even talk about the number. We had very rigid systems. You can only promote these people to this level after this many years, after this process is done, and using this registration, this thing. And there are very strong, tough loyalties that we will say that my process that I am doing in my division is what is right. You have 273 bosses we have to work with. And government, we don't have money. You have to buy hardware, you have to buy software, and the hardware and the software have to be of same process. And the biggest concern is connectivity and network. I have my stations in Assam and Dimapur and Meghalaya, and I have my stations in Mumbai traffic. I need to have seamless connectivity. How do I work on that? How do I get there? And if an employee applies for leave and he doesn't get it, imagine this situation. Do you know that every kilometer of the track is walked by one person at least once every day? And that person, if he has to apply for leave earlier in the manual process, he has to walk or go to his office, take 2 hours off, go to the office and file his application and then wait for the approval. Today, he can do it on his mobile phone, even a non-smartphone. He can apply for leave. We need to look at that kind of thing. We had to train thousands of users across the country, not to mention lakhs. Every employee. And we have people who are hardly 8th class passed who are from old age. We have to train everyone to use the system. And we had to get the employee buy-in, and we have strong union pressure. These were the challenges. What do you think we should have achieved? Can you tell me? And how long do you think we would have taken to achieve this? In a corporate of this size, how many years it would have taken for you to achieve this? Anyone wants to share? In the kind of environment we are talking about, yeah, I'm waiting for responses, but we did 10 years, 5 years. Good. I think thanks. Please give a big hand to us. We achieved all this in 3 years, 48 months. Well, thanks, Yogesh. But we would have loved to. But given the circumstances and given that we are government, and it has taken us 3 years, but we have come today. Every promotion, every transfer, every leave, everything is online. Okay. But this is not just the output. We learned that after all this, we are still in the first step. We have crossed only the first step because we are sitting on mounds of data, and we can analyze this data and take a lot of decisions. Earlier, our vacancies, assessments, how many I should recruit was all arbit because they were based on manpower data. And I decide that 550 people of my drivers want to go to another place. So I assume they will go and I will ask for recruitment. But in that place where they want to go, let us say Bihar, and in Bihar, they would not have reduced that number. So I will end up recruiting 2 into 50, whereas my requirement was 50. So this is the kind of mess that was happening in the manual system, and there was a lot of trouble collating. Today, all data is available. I look at everything online. Everyone puts their requirements, put it with the community, and we presume who is going to retire 20 years from now. What is the average number of resignations I will have? What is the average number of deaths I will have? I can predict all that. I have my algorithm right. And today, my decisions are very precise, and therefore my approvals are clear. This is just one example I'm just giving, but we have done we have moved into data analytics, we have moved. But the biggest thing, satisfaction that we get is the satisfaction of the employee. The day I went and I talked to one of my employees in one of my inspections, I was sitting in a station, small station next to Mathura, and one employee came and told me, "Madam, thank you." I said, "What?" He said, "Aapne mere ko 2 lakh bachaya." I said, "How did I save you 2 lakhs?" He said, "पहले जब मेरा ट्रांसफर का application करना था तो every desk I had to take leave and go and I have to give my hafta to them. Today it is going online and I know where my application is stuck and I don't have to do anything about it." So that satisfaction is much more than the numbers I'm talking about. I have improved the process. We have gone into data-driven decision. We have brought in transparency. My employee precisely knows when he is going to get promoted or what will be his salary and how much increment he will get. My costs have come down. My entire pass section has been wound up. My operational efficiency has gone up. More important, we now have an adaptability and scalability. I can take this product. It is a bana banaya product which I can give to any government organization. I just have to tweak it. The most important thing is this is also now connected to my other things. There is a application which we have for drivers. How do you allot drivers to the train? And when the train is running, you have to cancel late, then you have to cancel the driver, book him later. How do I know it? I precisely know how many drivers are there, who is on leave, who is available, when is his roster, when is his shift, and I can do it online straight away. Just to say that this is connected to other applications. And more important than that is we now know how to transform and how to be a leader in transformation. My internet search tells me that the biggest application of HR implementation is 6.6 lakhs done by TCS. Mine is 25 lakhs. I rest my case. So this is, I don't know whether I've exceeded my time. Dr. Prasad, Dr. Rao, please tell me if I can take a couple of more minutes on this.
Yes, ma'am. Please go ahead. Please go ahead and complete as soon as possible.
Right. I'll now go back to the key takeaways. For everybody who is getting into transformation, stakeholder user acceptability is critical. I can have the best of programs or the best infrastructure I can create, but if my user is not happy with it, it's of no use. Like there was a station where it was a beautiful, huge station, but to go from one platform to another, earlier people had to just take 2 minutes and run from one platform to another. Then we built this huge, beautiful behemoth of a station, and it took him 17 minutes to go from one platform to another. So that doesn't make sense. So user acceptability, stakeholder acceptability, top management involvement, it's key. Second, this is the most important thing I want to emphasize. Understand technology, but understand the problem first. It is technology for problem and not technology should fit. Problem cannot be first, has to be placed first before you fit technology to it. It is not that I have this technology available, let me try it out on this problem. So understand problems first. This is what we realized. Focus on sound functional requirements. If the foundation is good, house is beautiful, strong. Functional requirements, defining functional requirements and user specification and use case analysis. Then our contract should be both comprehensive and flexible. This is an oxymoron, but it has to be done. And build in agility in project management and implementation, especially with the government. I'll tell you why shortly. And developing a program is just one bit. Sound change management practices, the migration practices, the training practices, the acceptance practices, and prior planning, everything has to be in place before any transformation comes. And as I told you earlier, repeat again, partner mode functioning is most effective rather than vendor client mode. That helped us. Now, you are a corporate sector. You would like to know what is your takeaway. Well, with $130 billion in question, you would definitely like to jump into the fray. But then, what are the key takeaways? One, play for long haul. Government projects are large and they are long term. Please plan for a long haul implementation. Second, find the solution first and then fit the technology. I repeat this again. Third, understand how government works. See, this is where the clue is. TCS has been very successful in government projects. Why? This is what Mr. Ganpati, COO of TCS, the then COO, had to say. Process, project management, rather program management and architecture. This was his clue. And some of the other points. And as part of my thesis, I've discussed with many solution providers. And this is what we realized. We need to understand how government works. Just as much as government needs to understand technology, we need to understand how government works. There is no point in getting frustrated. It is process oriented. Government is process oriented, and we need to be clear about that. Because the priority in government is not profit or shareholder value. The shareholders here are all the stakeholders, which means every man in the public is a shareholder. So we need to understand that everyone will have equal treatment and there is no specialization. So everyone has to have access. It is a mandatory environment. It is not a choice. Everyone has to have access to it. And therefore, priority is for equity and accessibility. Therefore, you need to understand this. And that is why government works the way it works. It may not be fast because it has to be sure. It may not be quick because it has to be reliable. So we need to understand that. Data management is a huge thing. You have legacy data, and any of your data is a long term storage. Whether it is your land ownership, it is lifelong, 200 years data is to be stored. You're talking about an employee's bank, you're talking about his deposit, you need to have 30 years data. Data management is critical, which means data purity, data accessibility, data sharing, and data storage and data management. That is in whole data management and data safety also. We need to have that privacy. Everything is important. Most critical mantra I would give to a corporate is think for the public, but design for the audit. Because your project is to serve the public. But while implementing, you will have 100 questions from the audit because they are also thinking that they serve the public by protecting government money, public revenue. So think for the public, but design it for the audit. Another very critical thing is there are no outliers in government. You cannot afford to leave even one person out. I design a station. I have to ensure a person today. I mean, the days are over when you had to be not be bothered. You have to be bothered about majority. I need to design it for the blind and the mobility challenged. There are no outliers, and I have to manage in every language possible, and I have to ensure that a person in the remote Meghalaya or Mizoram should also have the same access as a person who is sitting in the heart of Delhi. So all eventualities have to be taken care of. There are no outliers in this business. Provide for changes in policy. You know it, I know it. It's a 5-year government, possibly may extend, but even within a government, there may be changes in policy because we are talking for public. We may have to be happy about one group, and then another group may have problems with it. We may have to balance the two. So it has to be, so provide for changes, make your program flexible. This is the key takeaways I would say. But coming back to, I would like to wrap up with this. What lies ahead? What stops you? I know I've made it look challenging, but the rewards are exciting. And I'm going to quote one ICFAI student, rather two of them. The words were inspiring to me. One of them, ICFAI students, told me, "Ma'am, I want to do things better for people around me." I have told her, "What are you doing? You are the person Government of India is looking for." Another person told me, "Ma'am, I want to have a purpose which is larger than myself, my income, and my betterment. I want to have a greater purpose in life." I am so happy that ICFAI has students like this, and which is why I would like to be coming again and again or be a part of the ICFAI family. Thank you, ICFAI, for bringing up students like this. And to students like this and to the corporate people, you are part of this great nation. And today, the world is looking at us. What's stopping you? Come, either work in the government or work for the government. You will be part of India's future. Jai Hind.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you very much. So that's a fantastic presentation. We are bowled over by the size, the magnitude that we are talking about in terms of the organization that you are part of. Fleetingly, we have heard these numbers in media on various occasions, but in a fragmented way. But if everything is put together, it kind of defines the overall size of the organization, the kind of issues and the problems that one is given to grapple with. One is to know the numbers at a number kind of a level. The other one is to do something with those numbers. You are the second level, ma'am. Therefore, kudos to you. Thank you so much for still
Oh, it's all
managing
my
to.
team. I give entire credit
Yes,
to my
yes.
team.
But I'm very happy that you managed to steal some time for us at ICFAI. I'm very happy and thankful to you.
Thank you.
Because if anybody is working, even if I were working in your place, I would have said no. It is very difficult actually. But given the fact that you are a PhD from one of the prestigious schools in management, you have handled various facets of government, in different sectors you have worked, you understand how talent can be nurtured, how guidance can be given, and how in public speaking people can be motivated, and therefore you're allocating some time for us. We value this very much, ma'am. Thank you so much for being with
It's
us.
a joy.
One or two points about the whole exercise is that one thing stayed with me: designed for public, built for public, and designed for audit. What I have understood is that anything that you do for government or large organizations like this is you're going to have a very rigorous assessment. Lot of people will critically review, and everyone has got a license to talk.
Yes.
And that makes it much more difficult. In a private organization, in an organization of a smaller size, the number of people who will speak itself will be lesser, and it will not go into public domain. Here, it's a customer facing business. All of them are customer facing businesses, right from the portals that the government is planning to serve in terms of your daily services, your Aadhaar card to your PAN cards to variety of other financial services. On the other hand, utilities, mobility, like what you have spoken about in depth, it is customer facing. Every single day, lakhs of people are touched, and lakhs of people have smartphones to talk about if they are not touched properly. And therefore, that makes it a multi-storied problematic issue. If you are very sensitive and thin-skinned, you are not supposed to be working there. So we will discover much more. We have lots of questions to handle, ma'am. I want to share with you today that a large number of people who have joined on the screen have come from variety of sectors. We have a senior gentleman, bureau chief of the Hindu business line from Chennai joining. He has raised his hand earlier. Even now, the hand goes up. We have people from media. We have people from academia. We have people from business, financial services, so on and so forth. So I welcome all these people to raise questions. We will now start the Q&A. It is going to be in two clusters. The first cluster of Q&A will start with Dr. Prasad leading it, and I come back for the second cluster, wherein I'll open the mic for the audience to raise questions directly with Dr. Bhooma Veeravalli. She seems to be all ready to answer all kinds of tough and challenging questions. In the TEDx talk, I was quite impressed with the way you have presented your story, and therefore I thought we should definitely have you over WiseViews platform as well. And today it has materialized. Thank you so much. I want to thank all the students of ICFAI who have helped me connect with you as well. And I request Dr. Prasad to commence. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Professor Rao. We are at about 7:14 now and start off. Ma'am, we have seen that you worked in ISRO, you worked in IIT Madras. Okay, you have worked in different capacities with the Indian Railways, and you worked with other government organizations. So public organizations, there's a certain perception about public organizations. Okay, a lot of people in the audience also would have those perceptions. We also have private organizations that is only together, and as you said, in partnership, that things will move forward for the country as a whole. Now, while the organizations, particularly Indian Railways is largeness is also there in the private sector. Complexity maybe of a different type is also there in the private sector. So there's quite a bit to learn. I mean, from whatever you have gone through in terms of the experience, though everything will not be there, but certainly there will be things that we need to learn. So the first question is directed, in fact, most of my questions are directed in that, towards that. Now, one of the most important reasons is how do you choose your transformation initiative? So why, the why of it? I mean, you have described a certain project which is there in Indian Railways. You would have seen other projects in the other organizations that you work for. So now if you come to the story format of the why, specific why. So if you take, from Indian Railways, say from IIT Madras, say from ISRO, and you look at transformation, not always digital transformation, but transformation, you would have seen many of them. You would have led many of them. Maybe in some cases you have been supporting. So what does it mean for a public sector organization as compared to a corporate organization? I mean, what are the boundaries? What are the boundaries that you choose when you scope and decide that this is the kind of transformation that we need to do as far as public sector goes? So how do you differentiate between the whys?
Okay. The first point I wanted to say is, okay, I will be talking about Dr. Rao's observation about multiple stakeholders. That will please remind me to talk about it. When we are talking about government transformation, 4 triggers normally happen. You're asking me why? 4 triggers. One, the first trigger is grievances, people grievances. Second trigger, administrative efficiency. Third trigger, what we normally have sometimes is political or organizational leadership drives. And the fourth trigger is the competition with the environment. Today, what we realize is, yes, the private sector has moved. I need to move. People's expectations have gone up because they know it is possible. So I have to deliver. That is the fourth trigger. Political, I don't have to tell you leadership, organizational leadership or political leadership could tell you. Today, if my operating ratio, as we call it in railways, the cost to return ratio, if that goes up, I'm in deep trouble. So these are certain triggers, organizational triggers. The third trigger, the second trigger that I was talking about is the grievances of the public. That's the first most important thing. When you realize that public have this problem, and this is how the sudden increase or digitalization during COVID times. You had a problem, so you had to find a solution immediately. Then you realize that this is what we can do. So grievances is a very big source. And most often, this is something why I've kept it last, though I said it second. Administrative efficiency, financial apart. What we've suddenly realized is sometimes this is slightly dangerous also. We realize that this is what I can do to improve my efficiency. So I will focus on this particular problem, which actually, in terms of organizational requirement or public requirement, may not be important. Very often, most of the government projects fail because the projects are not chosen based on public requirement, but based on administrative requirement. So we need to marry the two. And that is another source of trigger. So these 4 triggers, any of them could start a new transformation. And by transformation, I agree, it's not just digital. I gave an example of digital transformation because I'm hands-on with it, but transformation can be anything. Like, for example, in IIT, there was no promotion policy for non-teaching staff. So there was a big grievance when I landed up, and many people came and cried to me. And then I realized there's a grievance. And we devised a promotion policy, recruitment, promotion, transfer, all policies. And once IIT Madras did it, then it was adopted by NITs and IITs across the country. So the grievance is another source.
Excellent, ma'am. I can see that there is a distinct, a stamp of what comes across in the need for transformation and change in the public space as opposed to the private corporate sector. And much of what you've said is driven by public kind of thing, grievances,
If it's
political
not,
leadership.
it's not answering a public grievance, the sustenance is difficult.
Absolutely, absolutely. So there are stakeholders who come in one way or the other, and finally they represent the public.
What Mr. Rao said, everybody is a stakeholder. We are a fish bowl. We are the fish inside the fish bowl, and we are visible to everyone. That's a tough job. Yes.
So I think the definition of the fishbowl has come up in these 4 dimensions that you have mentioned, and the cost element is also coming out pretty clearly that you'll have to do it within the limitations of cost. Now I just request you for specific stories which reflect these wise from some of the organizations that you've worked to, the nuanced version of it, because often it's a balance.
As I said, story is probably Mr. Sudhakar Rao's domain. Though I would really want him to probably write about public sector. I would want him to look at this domain, because one reason why the story is important is, as it's very easy to find fault with the government because people think it is my government. I voted for it. It's my tax money. So that is the reason why it is very critical to carry it out in a very transparent manner. And that is why processes are very elaborate. And that is probably why our projects are also complex. Having said that, my personal experience, one was this, a lot of digital experiments we have done in railways. The second, which we have, an experiment which we did, especially during COVID time, was on how to manage the traveling staff. But another very interesting thing I'll tell you. When we shifted from steam to diesel, how do we redeploy the people and how do we retrain them and make them more useful? Then when we shifted, or we are shifting more or less to diesel to electric, again the retraining, conversion training, how to optimize the manpower, how to shift from one group to another, how to integrate them and ensure nobody loses, a big challenge. Similarly, if I tell you smaller challenges in terms of numbers and size, we were in Central Institute of Classical Tamil. The institute had multiple arrangements of different ways of researchers in Tamil. So how to structure them, give them a different shape. Another transformation we did at the national level, we had to get a buy-in from people. My experience in IIT, for example, or even ISRO for that matter, there was ISRO once I was in Sriharikota, was witness to several launches, and it's a fantastic experience to work in that organization. But we had a lot of our land which was encroached. So we had to document them, and then we had to classify them into different usage. And then we had to see how much can be taken out and how much can be resolved. Again, in IIT, we had to establish a new IIT in Palakkad and Tirupati. IIT Madras was to handhold it. So looking at new sites, arranging how to run it before a site is ready. Before a building is ready, your organization has to run. So how to run it in temporary manner and then how to convert that, challenges. But all of them have been excellent opportunities. Like when one fine morning we were told that all unmanned level crossing had to be closed within 1 year. And you know the number of unmanned level crossing we had was something close to 23,000. How do we close it across the country? In my own division, I had about 75 unmanned level crossings. And you close a unmanned level crossing, the public will be standing before you, saying it is my way, you're stopping it. I can't close it permanently. I have to give alternative. And you cannot dig underpass for every level crossing because there may be waterlogging in the land. It may be an agricultural area like Tenali or something. We had a tough time when we had to dig. And then when it comes to rain and then your water will flow there, you have to provide a channel for storage. So a lot of engineering challenges and social challenges and political opposition. Your MLA will come and stand before your office and say, Murdabad, you have to face it. But then you have safety of public challenge. So for me, working in government is one challenge after another. And this challenge has to be multiple stakeholders. I hope it answered your question.
Yes, ma'am, it does. In fact, it opened up another layer of what the complexity is. Earlier it was on digital transformation. Now, about transformation, maybe even if you're starting a new IIT, there's a certain degree of transformation involved and you need to set it up and, the issues which are involved and what are the ways by which you can do it. I think, yes, it is added on to the discussion. Now I'll come to a very important part, ma'am. See, narrative building is a very important part of how you handle the change.
Yes.
So whether
Yes.
you're talking to the politician and giving him, matter which he can present and which is convincing, or whether it is to the stakeholders who are using the services, like you said in the case of level crossing, or whether it is the staff, how you build a narrative around what you want to do is very important. So in your experience, when you look at it, what kind of key aspects would you highlight around that narrative building?
My first and foremost mantra in narrative building is that be open and transparent. There can be no hidden agenda. Whether it is your politician or your public, it's always helped. I have seen that when in a remote area, you've closed a level crossing gate because there was just another gate which was half a kilometer away. And then you close one gate saying there is a gate half a kilometer away. You still have to convince the villagers why they have to travel half a kilometer extra to cross the gate. So better be open, be accessible, be open, and give them all data and show them. I used to use Google Map and put it on a huge screen and tell the village leaders, see, this is it. And if you do this, it is not for the speed of the train, it is for the safety of the public. Second thing, so that is one, openness, accessibility. And third, I always give this as a mantra, TOS. This is what I call TOS. Think of the other side. the other side is my mantra for everything. So look at it from his perspective or her perspective, why this half a kilometer distance would be a problem or would it not be? There was a particular case when they said that this particular road leads to, there were two level crossings half a kilometer away from each other. So he said this particular level crossing leads to two things, one a temple and another a burial ground. So when we said we will close it, they said you are making us walk extra 20 minutes to go to the temple or the burial ground. So rethink it. So we had to rethink and say that, okay, we'll not close this, we will close that. Or we will provide a parallel road in the railway property. We will get given public access in railway property so that, their time is reduced. So we had issues like that. So look at it from the other person's perspective. So these are my three key techniques. Of course, there are other things, how to make it and financial soundness, this, that. They all will happen even anywhere else. But here, these three techniques I found are most important.
Excellent, ma'am. I think this leads us to the next question. See, this needs good people. When you're coming up with challenges and you've got complexities where you're handling the public, it needs good people as well. And being the largest organization around in the country currently, and since you handle HR, how do you see your Indian Railways' ability to get the right people to take forward this agenda of transformation?
Well, we not only need good people, we also need to empower the good people. That is also a trick of the trade. So I'll add on to what you've said. Well, we are huge recruiters. As I told you, we recruit about 50,000 people a year. So when you're talking about that huge a recruiter with a kind of stringent, you could have seen very few malpractices have happened in railway recruitment compared to other recruitments. But hardly anything, in fact. The one thing is about skill levels, we can be assured that we'll get the best skill because our exams are competitive. And for every post, we advertise at least 1,000 people apply in the lower levels and about 500 apply for the higher levels. So we'll get the best skill. There is no doubt about it. But then how do we own them into organizational purposes and achievement? To be honest, training matters. But the kind of numbers we are talking about, training will also not be absolutely perfect, tailored. It is difficult. The third step to getting the people there, we believe, is culture. That is our strongest weapon. The one thing I can tell you today, a railway person, the loyalty of a railway person, even today in these days when everybody cribs about the future generation is not like what we were, which you will hear from your grandfather to your boss. Always we crib. But relative loyalty of a railway person is absolute. Two reasons. We take care from beginning to end. The first, we take care of our employees. We are very good at taking holistic care of our employees. The second reason is it is drilled from day one that stopping a train is a no-no, whatever can happen. You cannot desert your post, whatever happens. So these kind of cultures are drilled into it. So it is culture building, and that is our biggest weapon. I would probably say that.
Excellent, ma'am. I think, you've got policies in place and priorities in place, whether they are pay structures or, perks that are offered or supports which are given or, priorities like, don't stop a train and, focusing on those kind of policies and giving space for the rest of the.
After 1974, you've never had a strike in Indian Railways. Touch wood, touch wood. Why? The loyalty that we've built. I would simply put it to that.
So I think there is far more to be studied and questioned and understood about Indian Railways than is what we have tried to achieve in this very short period of time. With this, I will stop my part of the conversation.
I was hoping that I would be able to motivate people to either work in the government or with the government, whichever sector you belong to. Mr. Vinay Kamat's hand is raised. Am I supposed to answer him or any more questions from Dr. Prasad?
Over to Professor Rao.
Okay. Yes, Professor.
Before they ask the questions, I have two questions, ma'am. So I have actually more questions, but let me reduce it to two. The question number one is, what kind of leadership DNA is required for institutions like this, public institutions, in the next decade, especially in the age of AI, sustainability, and the customer-centric governance that we are talking about? What kind of leadership DNA that you foresee is required?
This is a very tough question because it's a changing world and we need to change. So the first I would put is that when I'm really building a lot of value on loyalty, my first answer would be adaptability, ability to change, retaining the core value system of public sector. There are enough researchers which tell you the values of public sector motivation. You would have seen it. There are enough researchers on that. We do have certain values and they are important. There is no compromise with the basic values. The basic values being doing public good or putting others before self or before money. These are basic values. But along with that, for the coming years, we need adaptability, what we now call as digital leadership. And digital leadership does not mean just digital savviness, it also means how to steer an organization through digital environment. That is how to retain your core values and how to ensure that what you have to deliver is delivered with taking advantage of digitalization and not just going for digitalization without unmindful of your core purpose. So this balancing act is what I think is a critical need. There are a lot of other requirements like empathy and all that, which any B school will talk. But in an environment where you work, and I think any person who is doing projects for the government also need to have this value. And that is why they need to be a little more agile and flexible compared to working for a corporate sector. So I would put this balancing act of core public value with the modern technology ability to change with the environment. Balancing these two is the most critical skill we require.
Amazing, amazing, man. I think what you're saying forms into a pyramid. At the base lies the core values and the value-based loyalty, value-based approach in working, attachment with the organization. That is all at the base. Probably at the other levels, the second level is the TOS that you mentioned in your own language. Think of the other side, which in business language is the empathy for your customer. And if you don't have empathy for your customer, it's a business case to have empathy. Actually, it is not just to
Yes.
make people feel good. It's not a political statement. Business empathy is required to understand your customer. As you said, 1/2 kilometer walk beyond that point, what would happen? And if you think of the customer by keeping yourself in the customer's place, I think it will get you lots of solutions. That is the second one. On top of it is the adaptability, agility, the digital savviness, the winds of change that are blowing around us that you need to grapple with is at the top of the pyramid. I think this is what is the leadership DNA that you are talking about, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Exactly. You put it, you're a teacher. You put it. Yeah.
The second and the related question, ma'am, is that what we have observed is in the corporate sector, compared to a mammoth, big organizations like you, they're much smaller. Even in smaller setups, we see the leaders suffering from what is called change fatigue for smaller steps also. So what lessons these corporate leaders can learn from the way Indian Railways has adapted, Indian Railways has handled the change management, which is sustained over a period of time?
Yeah, Indian Railways has its own strengths, which is why we are able to manage changes, but our changes are slightly long drawn. So it is helping us to get adapted easily. When your changes are happening very fast, the fatigue hits in faster. And this is probably what is hitting our corporate sector now. So, what would help us, my belief, is that change has multiple layers. Change has core value change. Then around it, you have systems change, and then you have process change. There are multiple layers of change. Point is, if the core change direction is remaining a little consistent for a while, the other layers of change are easier to accept and adapt to. This is the learning I'm giving from my public sector perspective. So I know that I have to deliver. I know, for example, if I'm doing 1,500 million tons a year of freight movement, I need to move to 3,000 million tons of movement in a period of 8 years. My core delivery of giving value to the customer will remain. I need to only change the system portion. And if I have to change also, if I say that I will change my core value, the core value is to add my value to the customer, that is to give my freight operators their best convenience and give them this best delivery. How I do it, what process change I bring in, what systems change I bring in, and what is the change in the core value, if that clarity is there. And number one. Second, I believe what I do, what I've learned from my public sector experience is to share it with everybody. Say this is the goal. And if there is an unforeseen change, which happens in government, because as I told you, policies keep changing. Sometimes we are very frustrated. We also get frustrated. Like for 5 years, we were being told, reduce your jobs, reduce your posts, reduce your manpower. Now suddenly we told that no, you cannot reduce jobs because there is a joblessness in the country. So how do we balance? So then we work out a solution saying, okay, we will now do one thing. We will take posts from redundant places and we are adding assets. So we will direct them to where the new assets are created. So we need to, when we talk it over we discuss it with the leadership or the core people, stakeholders, then we can come up with ideas where it becomes a shared problem rather than, a top-down problem. So I believe these two have helped me. There are other things also, but these two are critical for me. That you identify the core transformation value, and then you also make it shared. These two have helped us.
Amazing, ma'am. Well put. And that's a very easily takeawayable kind of an input that you have given, so that they can really work on the core and then the additional factors that they can look at. What I request now is Mr. Vinay Kamath, the former bureau chief of the Hindu business line, to raise his question. Over to you, Mr. Vinay, and welcome. I am very happy that you joined. Mr. Vinay Kamath is a reputed author, apart from being a journalist, and he's from Chennai, and
Pleasure.
he raised his hand much before we.
Maybe he's just taken a break.
Yeah. So what I'll do is I'll request Mr. Yogesh Puranik instead to take the question. Mr. Yogesh,
maybe because it's beyond 7:30.
The size of Indian Railways and they are not able to open their mouth.
No, okay. We have probably crossed our timeline also.
No problem. I'll take that question on behalf of Mr. Yogesh. Ma'am, he says, how can we effectively incorporate think for the public as a user-centric design principle throughout a government project's life cycle, because the life cycle is pretty huge, while simultaneously building in the necessary data management and transparency for a comprehensive design for the audit? Kindly elaborate.
The advantage of working with government is that your systems are very good and very much in place. And organizations, railways has got a system which has evolved over 178 years and tried and tested. So systems are in place. So what we need to do is add as to how this can be improved by using what are the problems in technology, and therefore how we can use the systems which are already in place and build on them. So that is a very good thing. And we know that audits perspective is available. And what are the manual checks and balances that are made already in the system? And we just make it even more effective. These manual checks and balances are prepared because the public will demand it. It is necessary. So the fish bowl again is available. So what we need to do is work around that fish bowl. So we have systems in place. We have to improve the systems, build upon the systems, and we know the problem. So we get the public perspective. We have systems perspective. We need to just match the two and find solutions. And believe me, people who have worked in government know what is to be done. All along, they have been tied. Their hands have been tied. They have been working with 1.5 hands tied behind their backs in implementing the system. So when we know that what is to be done, many of them know what is to be done. So we need to empower them, get that, and technology will be enabling us to get that thing doing. Zoom is not letting me unmute. Mr. Vinay Kamath is having a problem there.
Yeah, Mr. Okay. Vinay, Mr. Vinay, you can call me on the mobile. I'll facilitate. as a shortcut. Ma'am, I think that response was pretty pertinent with respect to balancing the thinking for public and designing for audit as a systemic thinking and system viewing. And I think working along with a large system like this makes you stay on the course. I think that's fantastic, ma'am. Thank you very much. While we are waiting for Mr. Vinay Kamak to connect, and the moment he connects, I will take up that question. But I want to also tell the audience that we are talking to someone whose organization is handling something like 23 million passengers a day are moved across the country, which is like moving one Australia every single day, entire
Every single
Australia moving every single day. Yes, Mr. Vinay Kamath is going to be here. I am putting him on loudspeaker. Yes, sir. Please go ahead with your question.
Yeah, hello. Dr. Bhooma, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can hear you. But only a little louder, please.
Yeah. First of all, I'm a railway kid myself. We have,
He's a railway kid. He's a railway kid.
Okay,
Family
okay,
of railway.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
both Gopi Mama and Pranaka Mama are good friends of mine. So, for that language.
Gopi Malya.
Okay. 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 A good friend of mine.
Yeah.
Oh.
My question is, this Indian Railway Management Service, it also recruits the technical people for the railways, right? Are you getting the right kind of technical people to go into the earlier cadres like IRSME and IRSSE, all that you have? Are you getting the right kind of technical people for the railways under the Indian Railway Management Service? That was my question.
Okay, can I relay the question?
Yeah, please. I couldn't hear anything.
Under the Indian Railway Management Services or the system, are you getting the right kind of technical people who can deal with the challenges of the work that you're getting through your various sub-segments of the recruitment bodies that you have? Are you getting the right kind of technical people? Am I right, Mr. Vinay? Is that the question? Yeah. Okay. Okay. She has heard that. Okay.
As I repeat this, as far as the quality of skill or knowledge of our people, absolutely no question, we will be probably getting the best. Because even in that engineering service exam, the toppers prefer railways, knowing fully well that whatever additional perks are not as much in railways as elsewhere. Toppers prefer railways, so skill, knowledge, we don't have much doubt. It is only our responsibility, therefore, is only to build the culture, build the orientation that we need. Our trainings are pretty elaborate, 1.5 years training, 2 years training, and with multiple departments, with their own departments and multiple roles. Trainings are quite comprehensive. If at all, somewhere people fail, it's probably down the line and it is the environment which we need to provide. And that is what probably we need to improve upon. This is my belief as a HR person, because day in and day out we meet this person. People, Mr. Gopi Malya is a class example. I mean, he is probably one of the few people I would put as people I look up to, and there are very few.
Great, great. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you very much for responding to that. There is no depth of talent. There is no question of attracting the right kind of people. The toppers apply, and only thing is, in case of failures that may happen at any point in time, that could
towards
be
the later half of their lives we fail.
Probably, yeah.
Probably the environment, and that is where we need to really work on. And that is also numbers are very less. My interest is probably to make the organization more outward looking and interact with the other organizations. Unfortunately, we are monopoly, but it helps us build ourselves better.
Amazing, ma'am. Thank you so much. I was talking about moving 23 million passengers a single day, like moving one entire Australia every single day. I am hoping what kind of targets you have to move, how many more countries on a single day as part of Indian Railways. Well, that's that is one, which means moving heaven and earth to make it function.
It also means that even this is with a long waiting list, which will probably be another Australia waiting out there. So which means we still have capacity augmentation to do.
With 1,000 more coaches every single year that you have ordered, is the capacity augmentation planned appropriately?
Actually, yeah, I mean, it's probably more than what is projected as per current trajectory. So in other words, we are ready for more than what we are doing now. And we'll also be condemning old coaches because we want to move to newer technology, better coaches and all that. So ultimately, we'll not only be improving in quantity, we'll also be improving in quality.
So that means that it is not just putting trains on time, as they say in management. It is not just putting trains on time, but it is enhancing the journey experience. I think
Yes.
I think we are getting there, and that is what is the system thinking that's happening with leaders like you at the helm. I'm extremely hopeful. People like us in ICFAI understand scale, ma'am. Dr. Prasad has handled 178 colleges at one point in time. He was the head of 178 units. That's a massive.
And academics are much more tougher.
Mm. And right now, while we are talking, we are in locations where railways has not touched.
Great. Which
For
is an
example,
achievement by itself.
for example, we are in Gangtok, we are in Aizawl, we are in Dimapur, Nagaland. Of course, that's there. We are in Agartala, Tripura. We are in Meghalaya, we in Shillong. We are in
We'll
Tura.
shortly come there.
Yes, you will come there, but by the time you come there, we'll welcome you, ma'am. And
Right.
the kind of people to fuel your outward-looking organization are available in ICFAI. The students with the right kind of mindset are there. We only need to learn from you how we can forge an alliance, how we can have an MOU or some kind of an arrangement where these people get to work with you, whether they join or don't
So
join.
we are
That's a
looking
different
for
story.
interns now.
But we need to have some internships or other programs of associating talented youngsters to work around the fishbowl and then build that muscle of adaptability as they visualize nation building for themselves, because a set of leaders have already worked and a new set of leaders will have to come. If there is a right
Yes.
attitude,
Yes.
other things can be probably ingrained into them with mentors like you. So help us how we can work with Indian Railways, as simple as direct as that. And I wish you all the best, ma'am, in your ability to grapple with such a magnitude of challenges and problems at the same time, and hold your perspective, and also talk to a lot of intellectuals at the same time. I really admire you. I wish you all the best, good health, peace of mind, and prosperity. And do keep coming to ICFAI, and in all the locations where we are currently, both in metros and metros. Let Indian Railways run its tracks and let the nation move, not just check. Thank you so much, and Jai Hind, ma'am.
Jai Hind. And
Thank you,
let me also put in a 2-word. It's a pleasure to work with ICFAI. I have hoping that you will work with my training center in Hyderabad.
Yes.
And we are also working whether we are now letting out an internship policy. We'll be coming out with it shortly. We will start with it. Unfortunately, recruitment will have to be through competitive means as per constitution, but these are things you can work with. And we are also now trying to train people to work with our vendors and suppliers.
Yeah.
So then also we can work together.
I think ICFAI
Thank you.
has done a lot of management development programs in Hyderabad specifically. I think Citra.
Citra.
Citra. They have
Now
done
it
PD
has
for many
changed
years.
to ARIFM.
Okay. Yeah. I think
Okay.
about 2 months back also they've done a program.
Right. So please continue that.
Yeah.
Okay. And we are going to enhance our training centers also. We will look for working with you.
Wonderful,
Okay.
ma'am. We
Thank
want to
you.
thank Dr. Radha Mohan for engaging with you as well in terms of those programs. We want to thank Abhishek Chaudhary for connecting me with you. We also want to thank your brother at IIM Kozhikode. We want to thank you also for reading my books. And if ever I get a chance, to write a book, it will be titled "Not Just Putting Trains on Time."
I'm looking forward to it.
So
Thank
on behalf of all of you, all of us here around the screen, I want to thank you, ma'am. And ladies and gentlemen, that's a wonderful conversation. Thank you for your thought-provoking questions that you shared over the last 1 week. And today we could landscape those questions and seek responses from ma'am. And we hope to see you again next week at the same time on 7th of November with another leader on WiseViews platform for the session number 215. Till then, keep browsing, keep traveling, use public transport, travel by trains. I did myself very recently between Chandigarh to Delhi. Of course, that's a AC chair car. I was pleasantly surprised the kind of food that they were serving, and it was they kept in the 3.5 hours that I journeyed, the food kept coming. So that was amazing, quite hygienic and neat. I think we have transformed it to a large extent, and of course, there's always room for improvement, which will
There
happen.
is always room.
Which will always happen. So keep reading about Indian Railways, case studies of handling this massive organization, and draw lessons and inspiration from that.
Incidentally, the case study about our HRMS project has been selected by Asian Development Bank India Institute, Asian Development Bank Institute of Tokyo as one of the top 3 case studies for the year.
Wow, wow. We also would like to write a case on you, ma'am. We have a great
Please.
case research center. I will facilitate that.
Please.
And also I will keep in touch with you and take the discussion forward. So
Please.
ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for your time. See you next week at 6:30 p.m. on 7th of November, and have a great weekend and a good night.